अगर आपने यूएक्स करना शुरू किया, यूआई करना शुरू किया, प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन करना शुरू किया, तो अगर आप 2 साल 3 साल तक वही कर रहे हो तो भाई आप भी तो डिवैल्यू हो रहे हो.
You have to get over that. You'll get validation all the time. You know, companies have their own way of appreciating and all that, but it's not like you every day I'll come and tell you great work, great work. I can't do that, or anybody else, right? Or even your manager.
Creativity is not something which is only on the shoulders of designers. भाई sit with a developer and challenge them कि यार ऐसा कर सकते हैं क्या, मजा आएगा.
What Anarc did was probably a reflection of what Ranveer wanted.
Yeah, exactly.
And it came out in that manner.
True.
अब उस पर क्रिटिसिज्म कैसा होगा, मेरे 10 वेरिएशन बना सकता हूँ, बट वो वेरिएशन आप बना के क्वालिफाई नहीं करा सकते बिकॉज रणवीर और whoever the client is will not care about it because he already imagined that in his head.
आप जैगवार का नया लोगो देखो.
हाँ, exactly.
जैगवार का जब नया लोगो आया हलचल मच गई
बावले
कम्युनिटी में. Now to be provocative you can say anything.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, I don't know what to make of it right now because I've not seen a lot of its application.
लोगों को ना CEO बनना है,
Correct.
कुछ क्रिएट नहीं करना.
हाँ.
We still don't have that on my card. I don't care.
It's not necessary to be an entrepreneur to live your life and this and that. But it's very important in today's day to be entrepreneurial.
There are bad days. Even those bad days need to push you harder, right? So ये glam days ना जितने बना दिए हैं.
What actually makes a designer stand out according to you? Hello everyone and welcome to a very special episode at Designers, and it's gonna be a really cool and heavy packed episode for you all because we have two design legends. First is Nikalank and second is Divanshu Thakral, who is basically an agency founder and he is the VP of design at Vodafone Idea. So obviously we always start every podcast starts generally in a small introduction. So if you can brief up the folks on what you guys do, generally starting with Nikalank. So.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
So I've been in this field for almost 27 years. I started off as a graphic designer back in 1999, and I've worked in all formats of design. I've been an independent, freelancer, consultant. I've worked with, I've had a startup of my own, design studio, and then in the parenting space. Then worked with McKinsey as a consultant, and over the last almost half decade now, I've been with Vodafone Idea, and I lead a few chapters of excellence there. So design, product analytics, QA, and agile.
Got it.
Nice. So it's been good 20 years for me that I've been part of the digital ecosystem. I started my digital journey when probably things were on 2G and people used to just struggle downloading wallpaper, etc. I got into content very early in my life, and from that I kind of kept growing in digital from say telco to OEMs like Motorola, Micromax, and then eventually when apps ecosystem kind of was flourishing, UX, I started reading a lot about UX. And I was building a product where I could not deliver the experience that I was supposed to one of the potential clients, and that's when that deal kind of failed for me. And that's when I thought, if UX has to be taken seriously in India, we need to kind of break free from the agencies that are trying to deliver UX in the name of UX and build a UX ecosystem of its own. That's how one thing started, and one thing led to the other. And now, it's been good 10 years, and we built a team of about good 70 people spread across 3 studios in the country and 1 outside India. And doing some good work.
Got it. So just to clarify, I'll be rotating the questions one by one, so alternate jayenge, right? It's going to be very interesting for everyone as listeners and also for these guys. I've tried to create an experience, so let's see how this goes. And first basic question to Nikalank sir. Obviously you are in the industry for over 2 decades, right? And you have seen all the situations and all the designers and all types of people working, right?
I wouldn't say all, but yeah, a lot.
Obviously. So given for the fact that you come from this much experience, how's it like for you right now? Because we are actually experiencing another shift. One shift happened back in 2000 and now this new shift is happening, right? Now this is also obviously the AI technologies and stuff is going to affect the design space. What do you think about the future of design according to you in terms of the job perspective?
Wow. I think it's a broad question.
Yeah.
I'll try and sharpen it in a way that some nuggets can kind of come
Sure.
out. So, completely agree that design as a field, as a function, as a skill is changing a lot, right? Primarily because of Gen AI and the new layer of tools, and features and tools that are coming in. So, how you do what you do is definitely changing, right? A lot of what you do will also start changing. उसमें थोड़ी कम movement अभी economy, but I think what you do will also start changing quite drastically.
True.
With content creation changing, with the expectancy of consumers changing, with personalization, customization coming in a lot more and things like that. So I think initially ना पहले क्या होता था कि businesses, industries would create products, then they would run them for a few years or they would run them for a long time. By the time they would get feedback from customers and improve their product lines, right? एक गाड़ी बनती थी वो सेम मॉडल 3 साल तक बिकता था, right? जब तक उन्हें मालूम पड़ता था कि अच्छा ये ऐसा ऐसा है तो 3 साल बाद 4 साल बाद 5 साल बाद they would change the model. Today it's that has shortened a lot, not just because of the industrial advancements and all, but consumers have started giving back feedback also a lot quickly. Consumers को आज की तारीख में feedback देना बहुत आसान भी हो गया. Social media, this, that, everything. And industries have also changed that they've started including customers in their product, service, development and all that. That's where design became very important, right? In everything, whether you're designing a Dyson car, air purifier or vacuum cleaner, or it's a new line of cars from, Kia or BMW or whatever. So the experience became extremely important. So then design became important because human interfaces became, a deciding factor or a differentiating factor for products and services and businesses. Now there's again a change in terms of how we can deliver this, right? So I think the aspirations of consumers is going to increase. People are going to expect a lot more personalization. People are going to expect a lot more. Right now it's very expensive to personalize a product or service, at an individual level. But cohorts are becoming much smaller, much more specific. So because of that, designers will have to start thinking differently. You'll not be able to paint things with broader brushes. You'll have to become more fine-tuned and create more modular experiences and things like that. Technology-wise, I think AR, MR, VR, this is really, really, becoming a lot more affordable. So that's another frontier where I think digital experiences, hybrid experiences are going to move in. So designers are going to have to start thinking about, that. पहले आप डेस्कटॉप पे वेबसाइट बनाते थे, फिर आप मोबाइल पे ऐप बनाने लगे, फिर आप वॉच पे समरी बनाने लगे. अब आप in a 3D world, you will enter, and I think that will also impact the kind of designers people are going to start looking for. Product designers, like as in physical product designers, are going to become very important. Because I think tactile experiences are going to change a lot. New 100%. Textures coming in, new materials coming in, sustainability coming in, ecology, and your economics, ecological economics of your products and services are going to come in. So there again, that's another frontier. Medical and healthcare design is going to become really important. True. Because when I say design, I'm not talking about just the form aspect of it, but I'm talking about the functional aspect of it. Yeah. Right. Medical care, how it's getting disseminated over virtual calls, and how can you make a lot of AI solutions for that particular field. So lots of change coming in. I think the one thing is shorter answer if I have to give for the audience is that start looking out, right? Now UI UX is just the surface. For a very long time UI UX was the thing. Yeah. But now it's just the surface. There's so much more that it is going to be holding or bringing together. That start researching, start thinking of the value that you bring, the skill that you have. Right, stop looking at design as a career. Basically, getting more awareness in terms 100%, of 100%. All the things that you think that are going to be the future and act accordingly. Yeah, मैं एक चीज़ हमेशा बोलता हूँ, design is a skill. Yeah, it's not a career. Right, and build on that, build on the value of the skill. and I think you'll be in a good place.
Makes sense. Coming to the future also, Divanshu sir, you have built a good agency now, and it's been over 10 years, right? But in terms of now, and given the fact that the technology is moving so fast, do you think the same model is that much applicable in terms of a person building an agency? Because it's going to be much more easier for freelancers to get into agency creation because of the automations that there are, right? So do you think that AI can kill an agency model?
So it's the two aspects to this answer, to this question. Now what, like back in the day when we started the agency business, people were getting into it and they knew that there's longevity to it.
True.
It was a mainstream career that we want to take. What I'm seeing right now is we'll see a lot of smaller 2 people, 3 people, freelancer kind of an agency because of the market has gotten very competitive, and also scaling from that 2, 3, 4 people to 10 people and then to say 50, 60, it's getting difficult now. And with AI supporting a lot of redundant tasks that designers used to do back in the day, even like till about last year, you don't need very large teams. You can do a lot of work where we used to hire a lot of younger designers or interns to do a lot of frivolous work. Now you don't need that. A lot of work can be done through an AI assisted plan or a AI assisted approach, and where I think the agencies would move, the ones that have broken that barrier of working with enterprise customers where you need serious involvement, to somewhere agencies which are building very short run platforms like say working with startups on a Web3 or an AI product, etc., and then move in, move out basis that. So I think it will be slightly more difficult for somebody to run an agency now, especially in the UX UI space. And adding to what Nick just said, the space is becoming such that UX UI is just becoming hygiene now. If a product does not have great UX, it anyways kind of gets off the shelf, right? But what you can do beyond that is what agencies would have to look through. A younger like a freelancer, after getting 2 projects, he thinks, okay, I want to get into an agency or build a UX agency. I don't think so that's the right call, because he needs to think what will be the value of it 5 years down the line. And somebody who's just starting off might not even get projects that could take him to say building on the same lines for 5 years, right? So immersive experiences, XR, etc. I mean, we've been talking about XR for so long, but with AI, with metaverse or with XR coming together, it's even easier to build such platforms, because you have that computing, you have that that depth perception that was that used to be missing in XR products is there now. So I think the future doesn't lie in UX simply, it lies in services beyond UX.
I think, and also as an individual, people will have to diversify their skills more and be more open-ended and have more skills under different areas and place their eggs in different baskets.
I think niche really helps, but maybe UX to start off might not be the only niche that you should look at. They can build other niches. Like, I see a lot of these generative AI studios coming up now, smaller studios, but they're building videos, etc. for brands probably in 2 days, which brands used to take probably a month. Weeks or months, right? Now they're just doing it. So these are new form of studios that are coming in, and we work with some of them. That is also, I think, so that is that thing comes from awareness, right? I mean, if you're aware about that, there's something that can enable you to work with a company beyond just UX, still have your design skills in place, that can make a career. But just using design skill in UX and UI and trying to build a career might not have that longevity.
Makes sense.
Everything is evolving, I mean, to be honest, I think every business, whether it's been touched or not yet, will get touched somehow or the other with, and I don't want to use AI as a buzzword, but with faster, capabilities to deliver, to test, to all of that. So every business is going to have to rethink the model. right? It's not just design studios. Across the board, right? There is so much talk about cars becoming a service.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm actually super excited to think of, not having to own a car,
100%.
but being able to use a car as a service. That's insane. Like subscribing to a car.
True.
Right? So that means everything associated with that industry is changing. A design agency will not be able to work with a, car manufacturer the way they would have worked so far.
Yeah.
So ये तो हो रहा है, ये तो होना ही है. Right? Whether it will kill or not, I always say this, that it will kill all the bad ones.
True. Yeah.
मेरे को एक सवाल आता है ना कि will AI replace designers? Yes, all the bad ones.
Yeah,
Do you think, Nikalank sir, AI cannot be as creative as a human being?
ना अरे यार, ये थोड़ा हमारा arrogance है कि हमें लगता है कि हम ही हम हैं.
हाँ.
Right? There is no such thing as more creative or less creative. It's subjective to what is the need of the hour. Right? There are lots of issues with, like, for example, Gen AI tools, image manipulation and all that, video manipulation. There are lots of issues, but if you see the way they've changed in the last 2 years, it's insane.
It's evolving.
Yeah.
Right? आज की तारीख में आप जो सोचो, आप उसको बना सकते हो at least conceptually. पहले तो सोच को समझाने में ही इतना टाइम लग जाता था.
Yeah.
Right? And for example, I was doing this session with second year students, kids, and the way they were able to illustrate examples. It was a subject, something to do with bridal, wear and all that. In 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If you're, half as good as writing a prompt as you need to be, they just wrote, and it was not 100% there, but it was 80% there.
Yeah.
True.
Right? So, it's definitely going to, change the way you're doing. So, it may not, like I said, it'll actually change both. It'll change how you're doing things and what you're doing.
I think what I believe in, that because of a lot of redundant tasks and because of a lot of ideation that designers used to get involved in for weeks and months, it used to take the fun away of creativity and pitching ho rahi hai and people writing documents and all. I think AI will make designers more human.
Yeah, makes sense.
मैं तो बोल रहा हूँ कि I don't think it might even be something that somebody might come to design for.
Yeah.
आज की तारीख में organizations are building these kind of skill sets in their own marketing teams, in their own product teams. So पहले जो होता था, the kind of dependency that you had on a designer or a creative professional, that dependency AI will reduce.
Yeah.
True.
Right? So it's not a question of whether AI is more creative or less creative. It's enough creative. Right? And it'll always be enough creative to get something done. Now it's a question of what you want done, why do you want it done, when do you want it done, how fast do you want it done. Right? So मैं तो ये कहता हूँ कि भाई, don't be scared of it, don't worry about it, leverage it.
Makes sense.
Understand it, spend time with it. Explore, what role it has to play. Instead of worrying about कि मेरा job खा जाएगा, मेरा lunch खा जाएगा, or trying to differentiate, I will always be better because I'll always be more creative.
Yeah.
यार designers ecosystem में Canva has always been abused.
100%.
Right?
Yeah.
Even today. But kid you not, the amount of time it saves to create a presentation,
100%.
it is not even funny.
Yeah.
I mean, being a design company founder, I work on optimization. I don't care my designer is doing it or how it is happening. If something can be done for me in 1 hour and not 2 days, it's a huge difference.
Obviously.
I'll pick up 1 hour because I can iterate on it.
छोटा सा एक plug करता हूँ मेरी बीवी और मेरी बेटी का, ठीक है? So my wife, she's got this little thing that she does. It's called the Mandir Company.
Okay.
Okay. And my daughter designed the logo on Canva.
Yeah.
At the age of 11.
So
okay.
100%.
Now every person in the design field abuses Canva because primitive hai, ye hai, aisa hai, waisa hai. Bhai, but it did the job for a small freelancer, independent, business. And now the emotional quotient on that is so high that it doesn't matter what a professional designer would have done and what they would have charged.
Agreed.
So where is the creative, who's more creative?
True. I think Canva came at the right time because a lot of non-designers because of Canva, उन्होंने इतने सारे डिजाइन्स बनाने लग गए वो लोग, and that's where I think Canva was trolled because non-designers are also designing, so they will obviously
मेरा यही प्रॉब्लम है कि
exactly
एज अ डिजाइनर
It's insecurity है basically.
true
Yeah.
तुमको encourage करना चाहिए कि किसी को एक ऐसा टूल मिल रहा है where they're able to explain
Yeah.
to you better.
yeah
You know, there's an exercise that we do, yes and no but. Right? Why don't you build on top of that?
true
Or why don't you build around that?
yeah
Why do you have to restrict this? I was telling this to, the professional we're sitting with today, and I say this all the time. If you really think design is the heart of the organization, if you really think design is at the heart of everything, then do you also know that the heart is the last thing that stops working? Right?
Yeah.
And a heart is not something that works conditionally.
true
It works continuously.
Right?
Yeah.
It works continuously, and जब तुम्हारा heart दम तोड़ता है तो that's when you're dead.
yeah
Right? And the other thing, heart कभी दिमाग से लड़ाई करता है तो
yeah
the entire system
true
Yeah.
comes down.
Agreed.
They both have to be aligned. So the heart can't say that, I just want what I want and, the brain has to deliver it. It doesn't work like that. There has to be a sync. So if AI, if all of these things are the brain side of things, and if you think that you're the right brain side of things, get mid-brain. Just start working together and understand and be progressive about it. No?
and I think also designers love to criticize. Say for example, take Anik Jain, right? He redesigned the logo of the Ranveer show, right? It got backlash like anything. कि उसका ये ऐसे पतला है, ये arrow fit नहीं हो रहा है and stuff like that. Everyone wants opinions, right? And Talha करके एक singer है sir. He is a Urdu rapper. He says like दुनिया चलती है comment sections के अंदर, right? And everyone loves to get reach and लोग कमेंट करने लग जाते हैं. एक कंट्रोवर्सी होती है, जस्ट अभी जो रीसेंट कंट्रोवर्सी हो रही है समय रहना वाली, राइट? वी मेड अ रील ऑन डिजाइनर, इट वेंट टू 1 million व्यूज, अभी 3 दिन पहले की बात है, राइट? डिजाइनर्स डोंट फोकस ऑन द थिंग्स दैट मैटर, राइट? अब जो रणवीर शो वाला वो था,
बड़े स्टेटमेंट मत कर भाई, because there are lots of good people in the industry also.
सर ये स्टेटमेंट क्यों कर रहा हूँ मैं? बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल हैव ऑलरेडी fallen off of this podcast, ठीक है, ऑलरेडी. यहाँ पे अभी से 5-6% लोग बचे जो एक्चुअली में सुनना चाहते हैं आप लोगों को इन द फर्स्ट प्लेस. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई ओपन द ट्रेजर नाउ, राइट? सो आई डोंट हैव ओपिनियंस ऑन दीज थिंग्स, बट what triggers me is the fact that क्योंकि I love to help people, right? I am doing Designer to actually take design
it's commendable. What you're doing
right?
is fantastic.
So the problem is, अभी we just did an event, ये तो guys Roundtable event करके आ रहे, right? People don't listen properly. अब आपकी एक Roundtable बैठी थी, आप लोग अभी बात कर रहे थे कि like people don't focus on each other कि क्या questions पूछ रहे हैं, and they re-ask the questions because they were not just paying attention. So how can a person actually, learn from all of this and become a better designer? The top 1% है ना, मेरे को ये जो top 5-6% जो यहाँ तक पहुँचे उनमें से 1% आइडेंटिफाई करवाना है. तो आप क्या रिकमेंड करोगे उसको?
You want to take that first?
So what I feel, and criticism is something that designers don't like to be criticized, but they love criticizing.
Exactly.
What happened with Anik's work with TRS?
Yeah.
See, TRS is an individual person brand.
True.
Right? It's connected to Ranveer's
Correct.
own persona, etc. And what in my experience, when we have worked with single person entity or a founder or a brand, they're very emotional about it.
Yeah.
They don't listen to designers.
True.
After a while, you also have to stop banging your head.
Yeah.
And deliver something that the guy is imagining himself to be.
Yeah.
What Anik did was probably a reflection of what Ranveer wanted.
Yeah. Exactly.
And it came out in that manner.
True.
अब उस पर क्रिटिसिज्म कैसा होगा? मेरे 10 वेरिएशन बना सकता हूँ, बट वो वेरिएशन आप बना के क्वालिफाई नहीं करा सकते, बिकॉज रणवीर और whoever the client is will not care about it because he already imagined that in his head.
True.
Vis-a-vis, say if you're working with an entity which has more people, there are opinions, there is slight more process followed there, right? It is one-off event which is connected to one single person. True. And it's fine. You don't have to really bash a designer onto that, because designers deal with something called as visual stimulation, and if the person who is okay with that visual stimulation is happy with it, he's paying for the bill. And that's what matters.
And at the end, if the client is satisfied, if Ranveer is satisfied,
it doesn't stimulate you, it's your problem. It's
exactly.
Okay. Not every brand can be Nike, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a different take, but what I want to add to what Divanshu was saying. आप Jaguar का नया लोगो देखो.
हाँ. Exactly.
Yeah.
Jaguar का जब नया लोगो आया, हलचल मच गई
बावले हो गए
community
सब.
में. तो now the thing is कि a lot of people, some in my team, some outside,
Yeah.
कि what do you think about it?
Yeah.
Now to be provocative, you can say anything.
Whatever. Yeah, exactly.
But I was like, I don't know what to make of it right now because I've not seen a lot of its application. If you ask me on face value, अब वो Jaguar को वो, you know, if you have a good sense of humor, yes, ठीक है, you can appreciate that, you know, the way they're mocking it, this, that, you and all that. But I'm like, I don't even know what Jaguar is planning for its future from a automobile company. I don't know how they're planning to use this identity. Right? It's just, now okay, whether it was the right way for Jaguar to reveal its new identity, maybe there is some discussion around that can happen कि यार तुम्हारी identity और तुम्हारी product line के reveal के बीच में इतना तुमको gap रखना चाहिए था, नहीं रखना चाहिए था. Are they doing it as a test to see, you know, what do people think about it and how they take it? Are they changing their persona completely in terms of who they're building vehicles for?
Yeah.
कुछ पता नहीं है.
Exactly.
Right? Are they coming up with some crazy new technology which demands this kind of a shift in the identity? I don't know. So now you have these car enthusiasts who are in love with the classic, you know, imagery and brand and everything, and then you have these new age enthusiasts who are. But the thing is, I don't think it's ready. I don't think it's there.
Yeah.
So I do agree with Divanshu to say that कि भाई देखो मेरे को करवाना था, मैंने करवाया,
Exactly.
मुझे पसंद है,
Yeah.
right? And हो गया.
Change is always hard, yaar.
So,
accepting
yeah.
change is difficult, and I think आधे लोग, what I've seen is they ride the wave of trolling so that they can get attention.
Yeah.
And I've seen people getting followers from Anik's video,
Correct.
right? Just by bashing that. So I've seen that. So I know that it's not actually that logo. It's how can we direct
leverage
leverage that.
एक ऐसा comment कर दे जो हमारे को followers
Exactly. It has happened in both cases. This and even what has happened with
Correct.
the podcasting, sorry, the Latent show also.
Yeah.
I mean, that's aside, but yeah. So people use trends and
But they will get my respect and आप लोगों की भी respect अगर वो criticize कर रहे हैं and redesign करके डाल रहे. 2-3 लोगों ने किया था and I commented कि hats off that you have redesigned your own version.
No, that's a and again a standard in terms of what we always talk about at our office table is be scientific.
Yeah.
Right? There's a huge difference between commercial art and fine art.
True.
फाइन आर्ट में मैंने दीवार पे एक लाइन बना दी, उसके ऊपर 4 छींटे फेंक दिए, भाई मेरा घर, मेरी दीवार, मेरा रंग. It's the most expensive thing in the world. It's not for sale, right? If it's commercial art, it needs to make sense to the people who are going to pay for that.
Yeah.
Right? Now, if, you know, I want to say something about a particular person's work, professional work, I would say be scientific.
True.
अगर आपको किसी के लोगों के बारे में कोई कमेंट करना है तो क्या उसकी लेजिबिलिटी का प्रॉब्लम है, क्या उसकी मेमोरेबिलिटी का प्रॉब्लम है, क्या उसकी प्रोडक्शन वैल्यू का प्रॉब्लम है, यू नो, क्या उसकी कल्चरल सेंसिटिविटी का प्रॉब्लम है. इफ यू आर कमेंटिंग ऑन दोज थिंग्स देन जिसने बनाया है ना उसको सीखने का मौका भी मिलेगा.
ट्रू.
राइट. बट इफ यू आर जस्ट गोइंग टू बी इमोशनल अबाउट इट, quote unquote पैशनेट अबाउट इट, अबाउट द फील्ड और व्हाटएवर एंड ऑल दैट, तब तो ठीक है यार. देन यू नो everybody who can breathe has an opinion.
And somewhere I feel logos are overrated.
Yeah.
Because ultimately, tell me the brand that you remember today. Like what do you wear? Look, tell me the 5 biggest brands that you know.
Nike, Adidas.
सारे sneaker बोल देगा.
ठीक है.
Exactly.
अब imagine कर, you wear Nike for the product and the shoe it is.
Correct.
आज नाइकी का लोगो उल्टा swoosh भी होता तो शायद तू उसको याद नाइकी ही बोलता ना. You would have been using it.
Correct.
So after a while logo becomes redundant. It's just a recall value. Okay, मैंने वहाँ नाइकी देख लिया because it's what you connect with. But the experience that the brand is offering you, or you know the team is building for you, is what connects back to that recall value. And that logo could be anything eventually. So I think people really, you know, pull their hair out, just ये लोगो ऐसा है और वैसा है and all that. पहले कुछ experience build कर लो and then branding can follow through.
Makes sense. अब वो experience की बात करते हैं. You all know there are a lot of people. You have met a lot of designers here and there. What actually makes a designer stand out according to you? If you
Wow.
had to give it a word.
So for me, I don't think it's one thing. I think it's a
Yeah.
combination of a few things. Sorry, I can't give you one word, but
Matlab,
I will tell you a couple
the
of
word
things.
can be-
You gave one thing, branding, marketing by using that.
No, so it's a combination of problem solving, okay, honesty,
Yeah.
empathy in its true sense. Again, I don't want to use as a buzzword, but empathy as in like, are you really able to remove yourself from the situation and understand the situation for what it is, right? And sales.
Sales.
For me, the thing is, if you're not able to build a relation, and when I say sales, I'm not saying bas jaake blindly bechna.
Yeah.
I'm saying really understanding the audience, really understanding who you're selling to. How do you sell to a CXO versus dev team versus a end consumer? Are you able to break what you've done down, ठीक है, in such a way that it works for what it's supposed to,
Yeah.
right? So it's actually a combination of these three. So that differentiates for me good and great designers.
Got it.
Good designers are great at design, but great designers are, they're impactful.
We can bring design to life. I guess,
Yeah,
or help at least
like
bring design
truly
to life.
make a difference to the business or purpose. IDEO करके एक agency है, they did a fantastic, project where they built tables for schools in tier 4, tier 5 district level, schools out of cardboard.
Yeah.
Out of corrugated sheets and all, foldable tables that students can take home.
Nice.
क्योंकि वो schools are not defined in brick and mortar buildings and all that. A lot of times they are mobile schools and all that. तो ये बच्चे जो पढ़ने आते हैं वो आते हैं और वही उनका बस्ता भी है. That's also their carry bag. And they can very simply turn it into a small table, sit on the ground and they can study on. It's not a very popular project. It's not they didn't make millions of dollars out of it.
Yeah.
But what impact?
Great social impact.
Yeah, what impact?
True.
I'll never forget that bag in my life, right? And I don't think those students who it touched, who actually got a chance to study and were able to do anything with their life, will ever forget that product and service. So for me, and it was, I think, these 3-4 things coming together. थोड़ा लंबा होगा आंसर, एक वर्ड नहीं है, बट
मेरे को वही चाहिए था कि लाइक मैं आपको कंस्ट्रेंट करूंगा वन वर्ड पे ताकि आप 6 का 3 तो करोगे एटलीस्ट, है ना? सो कमिंग टू यू दिवांशु सर,
I take that feedback.
the logic is why I asked this question to him. Do you obviously you also resonate कि हाँ ये सारी चीज़ें होनी चाहिए, but as a co-founder, as One Thing Design Studios in the top 20 global UX studios, right? Plug, है ना? And what do you actually see when you are hiring interns or even designers, say for example for 3 or 4 months, जो भी आपका contract होता है? What do you think that you specifically see, and what generally people should work on that they can get hired and get placed very fast?
No, 100%. Yeah, I think I answered this today at the Roundtable also.
Yeah.
That this whole mistake that designers make, that they'll send across their portfolio, एक लंबी लंबी email लिख देंगे, वो they'll send the same email to 20 companies and all. That doesn't work, and when I say how we look at people, and I'll be talking about several other founders, or even Nick, when he's probably looking for people in his team. First is I look for why did they get into design?
Yeah.
Like, what was their reason of getting into it?
Yeah.
And it could be as simple as UX design is trending. At least they're honest.
Yeah.
Right? It's a job option. Everybody's looking for a job. Then what has been their journey so far?
Yeah.
Even if they're interned, what have they done like in their college? And leave aside just design. If they've been part of any community events also and all that, because that builds how open are you as a designer. Because designer ke liye it's very important to stay open, to get perspective, etc. Third is what kind of folks have they collaborated with, if they have say worked on certain projects, etc. Because in young designers you can't expect कि उन्होंने बहुत impact create किया होगा, right? It's not possible, and they try to showcase that which we know is faff. So what kind of people they have worked with? Have they worked with say a product manager directly, or have they worked with other designers, or if they've worked with even founders or early stage founders? So we know that they know what problem statement to work with these
Correct.
kind of folks, right? Fourth is if they're say sent across their portfolio, how much of it in that particular thing that they've done they've individually contributed to
Yeah.
it. You know, obviously if they just say ये मैंने सारा बनाया है, तो we know it's faff.
Yeah.
So what is their
ये बहुत important point है.
Yeah,
Sorry,
true,
I'm
yeah.
interrupting.
No,
you,
please.
but
Yeah.
बहुत important point है.
Yeah.
ये अगर तुम ये recognize नहीं कर सकते
Yeah.
कि तुम 4 चीजों को साथ में ला के कुछ डिलीवर कर रहे हो.
Yeah.
मैं ही मैं हूँ, वो जो मैंने पहले बोला ना, मैं
Yeah.
हम ही हम हैं.
Yeah.
तो आए वाले डिजाइनर्स हम पहले ही रिजेक्ट कर देते हैं.
Yeah.
You know, they, you know, in their interviews etc. कि I built this, I built that. वो 30 minutes over. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you, bye.
Makes sense.
Is we what we look for? And these
Plug.
are yeah. Yeah.
वो क्वेश्चन ही इसलिए पूछा था
Yeah.
mostly.
Looking for we.
Yeah,
Yeah.
looking for me.
Plug. दोनों एक दूसरे का plug
Nice. Yeah, we're helping each other's brand.
Yeah.
So and yeah, that actually makes us, because agencies are also looking for culture fit.
Yeah.
It's always a collaboration that we go forward with, and you know, people, if they're just about themselves, like we've done mistakes of hiring, say those influencer sort of creator designers जो सब कुछ खुद करने को बोलते हैं हमने सब कुछ खुद किया, and we've burnt our hands. Like they can't work with a team. It might be working for them,
True.
but it doesn't work for us.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very insightful. Wanted to ask you, sir, if you like, I'm amazing this chart first of all. I think this is the best podcast अभी तक जो मैंने रिकॉर्ड किया है.
पहली है तेरी.
नहीं, मेरी पहली नहीं है.
अच्छा, स्टूडियो पहला है.
स्टूडियो पहले है यार. So wanted to ask you, both of you, आपके पर्सपेक्टिव में अलग पूछूंगा, पहले सर से पूछता हूँ. सर, if you were to start from zero again, say for example, आपके पास सारे experiences सब देख लिया आपने. If you were to start again from zero in any design space that you would like, पहले तो कौन सी डिज़ाइन स्पेस आप चूज़ करोगे अगर आज आप 22 ईयर्स के होते फॉर एग्जाम्पल, एंड आप कैसे गो अबाउट करते कि 25 ईयर्स तक यू आर एट अ गुड पोजिशन, फॉर एग्जाम्पल UX डिज़ाइनर 3 या 4 वट एवर.
समझ में नहीं आया, but I'll just try and.
Yeah.
So you're saying if I was 22 today and starting today.
Yeah, starting today.
But I don't have the understanding and knowledge of what I do.
You know every situation पहले से. अगर आप वापस से चालू करते in terms of, because अब आपको तो पूरा पीछे खींच थोड़ी सकते हैं आपके टाइम को, बिकॉज यू हैव दैट ब्रेन एंड अब आपने एक्सपीरियंस जो गेन किया है. अब आप क्या ये क्वेश्चन इज फॉर ऑडियंस इनडायरेक्टली, बिकॉज आई वांट टू हियर इट फ्रॉम यू कि आप क्या करते हैं अगर आपके पास ये सारे एक्सपीरियंस आपने सब देख लिया है. कौन सी आप डोमेन चूज करोगे अकॉर्डिंग टू व्हाट द फ्यूचर लुक्स लाइक, एंड कमिंग 3-4 years में हाउ विल यू मेक श्योर दैट यू आर देयर, यू नो.
So I can probably tell you what I would have started with.
Yeah, sure.
But whether I would have stuck to it or not, I think is more like my personality, you know, thing. Because for me to stick to something, you know, for a very, very long time, I need to have a lot of fun while doing it, and then, you know, I enjoy a certain level of complexity and problem solving and things like that. So right now I'm really enamored with the connected cars, you know, cars as a service, you know, autonomous driving, and with the automobile mobility industry. Nice. Right? The place where that is going. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about, and this is recently because I did a course from MIT in technology leadership, and one of the sessions we had was on infrastructure planning.
Got it.
And उस infrastructure planning में एक aspect है mobility and transport.
Got it.
Right? So the professor is actually, I was floored.
Yeah.
The kind of projects they're doing. Like, for example, they are understanding the entire London metro system. They have the entire, you know, data set of how people move around in the London Underground.
Yeah.
And because of that, what are the things that they can do to make life experiences of that city easier from a travel perspective? Right? Bombay has that issue.
Yeah.
Any major city today has that issue.
100%.
Right? That to me is very exciting. People movement.
Yeah.
Right? That is very exciting. So I would love to get into that space.
Nice.
Now, I don't know how simple it is or how, you know, whatever it is.
Subjective to you, basically.
Yeah. So this is subject to me. So I think there is a lot of opportunity in that space because I think it's a very, very real problem.
Yeah.
You know, there's a new city coming up in the Middle East called the Line. It's a huge aspect of any city development.
Correct.
It's a huge aspect of any infrastructure or civilization development, right? Where how are you going to facilitate people movement.
Yeah.
You know, from so we are the only species that need 3-4 different environments to exist in. You know, at the same time. So, जैसे most other species would migrate.
Yeah.
यहाँ गर्मी होगी तो वहाँ गर्म चले गए, वहाँ ठंडी होगी तो वहाँ चले गए.
Yeah.
हमको गर्मी ही चाहिए, ठंडा भी ही चाहिए, हमको एसी भी चाहिए, हमको you know garden भी चाहिए, ये भी चाहिए. So movement is really important for us at a city, state, you know, global level. That really excites me.
Makes sense.
So that's
so
something I
basically
would have jumped
choosing
into.
what you are intrigued about or like you love.
Yeah, it has to be something that makes you wake up early in the morning with a smile and excitement,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Got it.
Right? It has to be something that you want to do no matter what. Right? So if I got the opportunity to, you know, influence that, learn about that, you know, understand that,
Makes sense.
you know, I think there are some really amazing things that are going on. There are companies which are understanding how cities are growing.
Yeah.
There's actually teams of people who are mapping back expansion of cities by 30-40 years
Yeah.
to understand patterns. I don't know if you guys know, but I was reading this article that there's a team in Japan. They are trying to understand city development with in comparison to fungus spreading on a surface.
Damn.
Yeah, no, I've read it.
So how
Yeah.
fungus spreads on a surface,
It's a
okay, and they're saying that there is a relationship between that
To
and human civilization development on
they
the
built an
planet.
algorithm
It's
just to map the growth of
crazy.
fungus and how city was.
so out of in my own time, I do a lot of reading on this front, you know, and I'm tracking some, you know, teams
Yeah.
and work that's happening. I would say that, you know, be scientific again about your passion development. If that's where you're going with, like, you know, what should people look at? I think, you know, find that thing that'll make you wake up in the morning and be excited about that particular subject, you know, no matter what. And, you know, that has to be your North Star.
Yeah, makes
So,
sense for sure.
yeah.
Love the answer because
Thanks.
मेरे को क्यों चाहिए था ऐसे because वही चाहिए था जो आपने बोला. I want people because what people do, what at least I do when I listen to these podcasts, कि I listen to your perspective and where you're coming from, and I apply that in my areas of expertise and what I love doing, right? So really cool answer. Now niching it down to agency side, because 50-60% of the folks in the event today also you saw that want to open their own agencies. If you had all the experiences that you have right now and you were given the chance to go back in time, and when you were again 22, same question, how will you go about agency creation, and अगर agency creation करना भी है या नहीं?
No, why not? I think it's interesting and it really drives. Doing anything in digital today, it is driving digital transformation for a lot of companies, and I think agencies are a backbone for, say, brands or corporates or enterprise, because not everybody hires or, you know, has that.
Correct.
In internal teams, etc. If I have to go back, I would choose two. One, any form factor design really excites me. But back in the day, it wasn't as easy to get into. But now I see when manufacturing in India is really improving, when, you know, there are proper setups, etc. You know, you still have to depend on China. I mean, they're way ahead in that.
Yeah.
But I think form factor design, especially for toys, is I would love to get into. I would love something like a local Lego. You know?
Dude, we should talk.
Yeah, 100%. So I think there is so much scope there. I love toy design. I love how how it kind of comes through. Second, on a more serious note, I believe a lot of India's problems, and, you know, just picking up from what Nick also mentioned, is to do with that design is being, you know, driven more from a private sector. Our problems are a lot to do with how government planning happens. So somewhere, if we can create an agency
100%.
or a wing which helps in policy making, but design becomes an integral part of it, lot of India's problems will be managed properly.
Makes sense.
We are broadening our roads. We are creating left, right, center. Like you see Delhi and Delhi Gurgaon Expressway, highway. But it's choco-blocked all the time.
True.
Because there's definitely no planning there how to create that. What is the data point, etc. Like it's there, right? And it's part of policy.
This is so amazing. I love what you're saying. Because while you're saying, what I was thinking was, you know, you have CX from a private sector perspective. You should have PX, people experiences. from a government sector perspective,
Absolutely,
I think
yeah.
that's a great, great.
Yeah.
PX is also pixels.
अभी आप देखो ना, look at entire India. There's no centralized design system. आप
Yeah.
South में जाओगे, there'll be different kind of signage. North में आओगे, different kind of signage. And the traffic is always a ruckus.
Correct.
Because nobody understand. If we spend 1/10 of, or not even 1/10, 1/20th of the amount on driver training programs, we don't need to spend so much on infra. We're
True.
spending so much on infra, but we're still at the same problem of traffic jams and
Yeah.
shit, because basics, how to use those roads are not mapped. And there's just one problem.
Very interesting perspective, but don't you guys think it's also the fault of tier 2 Indian people? Because at the end, majority of the folks who are driving the cars are basically people, that's what I have observed, कि design आप कितना भी
नहीं,
implement कर लो,
इतना ओवर सिंप्लीफाई मत कर.
नहीं ऐसा नहीं है यार.
हाँ.
People even in urban cities, they don't drive properly. It's all because we've never been taught. How do you get a license? 18
हाँ.
का हुआ license घर आ गया.
हाँ.
Right? There is no plan, there is no program, there is no, there is no structured way of getting your car on the road. You know how many people die of road traffic
Yeah.
on road in India?
बहुत सारे.
मतलब, if I give you data, there are 7 million people who died in last 10 years on road. This is the amount of bikes an auto manufacturer made in 10 years. Right? I don't want to name the brand.
Obviously.
That is the amount of people who die on road in India. And they don't even get reported. So there is definitely something wrong there, and it's not just about tier 2, tier 3. We don't take driver training program or even basic road sense seriously. And it is such an important part of our
No, I think
life.
Just a slightly different perspective. I think it's very difficult. I love this sentence and I use this a lot. It's very difficult to make an elephant dance.
Yeah.
Right?
Correct.
So and I don't want an oversimplified message to go out to say that कि ये
Yeah.
करना चाहिए, right? I think what we need to be cognizant of is that, like what he said, I completely agree that people experience, I think, should be a governing body. There should be a governance on, building people experience. That's a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And how you can work with governing bodies in improving civil experiences, infra experiences and all those things. I think that's fantastic. At the same time, we have to also empathize with, that this is not a place where you can just come in, फरमान जारी किया और हो गया.
Yeah.
Right? You have to really be sensitive to the sector that you're in, the geography that you're in, the culture that you're in, and then see how do we evangelize the solution, into the audience. Right? So, completely agree with Divanshu again that काफ़ी कुछ चीज़ें सिखाई नहीं जा रही हैं.
Yeah.
Right? या फिर अगर सिखाई जा रही हैं तो is it entirely built to deliver the experience and all that. So some of those things need a rethink, they need a rejig, and I think if you look at the newer places that are being built, the newer places that are being delivered, there's a huge difference, right? But again, can there more be done in that space? Definitely yes. I think we should definitely become a lot more conscious of it, and we should start working in that direction, in that field a lot more, for sure.
Understood. Wanted to ask you guys also a very interesting topic which is basically difficulties. Facing difficulties in a career is very obvious, and without failures and difficulties you won't understand how to go about things, right? What is the one major thing, one huge lesson that you learned from a simple mistake, या कुछ ऐसा हो गया, an incident that you think that happened which made you learn a huge lesson? कभी ऐसा हुआ है?
भाई 27 साल हो गया तो
मतलब like something really huge.
काफ़ी बार हुआ है. But I'll give you the incident I gave in the afternoon today.
Yeah.
I tried to do the whole agency bit quite a few times early in my career.
Okay.
I'm talking about early 2000s, about the time that I was passing out from college, and it so happened that I would start I would work with the team. You would get excited about the fact that we're getting work and we're making money.
Yeah.
And then we'd think, okay, let's start a agency, or a service business. And then very quickly I would find that I don't know what's going on, and my co-founders kind of taking charge of the entire situation and everything, and I would land up not being part of that setup anymore. And every time it happened that it happened at a much bigger scale.
Yeah.
तो पहले जैसे हम हजारों में खेल रहे थे, फिर हम लाखों में खेलने लगे, फिर करोड़ों की बात आ गई. एंड देन आई रियलाइज ये पैटर्न है यार, ठीक है, ये बार बार ना वही हो रहा है मेरे साथ. तो आई वाज लाइक लुकिंग इनवर्ड्स. द प्रॉब्लम वाज आई वाजंट विलिंग टू लर्न द मैथ ऑफ द बिजनेस. आई वाज लाइक बिजनेस तुम लेके आओ, काम मैं सारा कर लूँगा. Right, and I was fairly good at what I did, putting up a team together, delivering on whatever projects that we had, and we were always getting really good appreciation because we were delivering in time and things like that and all that. So then it was always like, यार ऐसा क्यों हो रहा है कि this partnership is not working?
Yeah.
And then I realized कि because I'm not ready to get into the business of design. So my biggest learning that then I worked very hard to change that about myself. And I said कि I'm not going to do another partnership till I don't understand the business that I'm in. So that was my biggest learning, and I'm glad that it came at an early age so that I could leverage that and
Makes sense.
make much more rock solid teams and deliver on much bigger projects after that. But that was a difficult lesson. Right? Finance में पढ़ाई नहीं की थी, तो artist आदमी थे, तो it was, you know how it is, like you don't want to deal with money and taxes and investments and all that. So I'm not saying that I'm very good at it, but I'm much better than I used to be. I want to be much better than I am. But that, yes.
What about you, sir?
I think the biggest mistake I did, so when you're building something, obviously it's great to build with 2-3 co-founders. It's always there. But we jump on the idea of, okay, we'll build this together, and that kind of excites us and all that. But very soon it gets into that rut mode, and that's when that when the other person could give up, right? So the idea, the mistake that I did was that I didn't realize the other co-founders had a plan B, and I did not have a plan B. I was all in, and one of them got a job, etc., in Bangalore, and left, and the other person had some other plans and all that. So that left me hanging. So my idea was like, if you're getting into something with some people, you all have to align that this will continue for X number of years, and at least have your expectations sorted out. It can't be that you leave the ship midway and you don't know which direction to go, right? So if you're into it, all of you should have no plan B. Like, just be all in. And this happened to me twice. So and both time I had no plan B. So I think the entrepreneurship has changed. People are genuinely kind of really excited about it, though it's becoming a fad now. More so, like everybody just wants to be one without an idea of why they should be one. But like the idea of getting a co-founder in itself is first scary, but if you're getting one, make sure that that person is
basically
in it for
being able to work in a cooperative manner throughout and lock in for.
Yeah, Angrezi is like one of the things that I always have to say on this is, it's not necessary to be an entrepreneur to live your life and this and that, but it's very important in today's day to be entrepreneurial.
Yeah,
makes sense.
Right?
The problem solving mindset.
So yes, if you're entrepreneurial, you will do very well wherever you are, in whichever format, industry, geography, this, that, you know, because you're able to bring things together and deliver and all that. But the romance of being an entrepreneur is, I think, overhyped. I think it's, you know, so
it's not for everyone.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think
it's
not for everyone. It's not the only way. Right? You can be entrepreneurial and way more successful, even financially, even in every which way, if you understand and apply the principles of entrepreneurship in the environment that you're in, right? And I think like I said, the romance of entrepreneurship in the founder aspect, वो कार्ड पे अपना co-founder देखना and वो CEO देखना, उसमें इतना वो है ना फोकस की जो कर रहा हूँ ये कहाँ जाएगा, इसका क्या होगा, क्या हो सकता है, वो
आई थिंक लोगों को ना CEO बनना है, करेक्ट, कुछ क्रिएट नहीं करना. हाँ. we still don't have that on my card. I don't care. Yeah. मुझे एडमिन भी बुला लो मेरी कंपनी में, मुझे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Because everything that happens in this company, our Manik would do it, right? So I don't care if we have to clean dishes also someday because the admin guy is not there. It's our house. It's our thing, right? So ये titles matter नहीं करते actually. Correct. ये ना obviously it's glam quotient and then you should be so passionate about what you're building that none of anything that kind of gives you a hype or gives you that push should not matter. There are bad days, even those bad days need to push you harder, right? So ये glam days ना होते नहीं हैं इतने जितने बना दिए हैं.
Makes sense.
Usually लगी रही होती है.
Very interesting. As you both have that entrepreneurial mindset in you guys, है ना? How can one actually focus on what they really want to do? And वो जो passion वाली चीज़ है, right? I've seen a lot of designers do a lot of things and stuff, and they now are stuck कि यार अब मज़ा नहीं आ रहा, है ना? And then they start to leave companies and switch companies, and they try opening their own agencies and then fail and then get disappointed, है ना? वो लोग के लिए आपको कुछ बोलना है? Because ये majority of the लोग में exist करते हैं ये.
यार I think ये ना लोगों की नहीं है, थोड़ी generation problem लग रही है मुझे. People get bored too quick fast now. And obviously attention spans are getting reduced, and people get bored of doing the same thing, but doing the same thing is not bad. It actually makes you better at that particular thing. What you were yesterday at that particular thing, maybe you're better now. So obviously job hops have added to it. And especially during COVID, I mean everybody was just switching. And then when you get bored and you open an agency, that will also bore you. That will bore you more. Because there's so many other things that you never imagined in running an agency. So ये mindset switch है.
Makes sense.
This needs to change. The better you get at it, like the earlier you get at it, you'll come out better in terms of in your career. Yeah. But I don't think so. Switching and getting bored too early is the solution, and it's not to do with a particular person or a set of people. I think it's just how our society is.
Basically, our generation has been given a title. Our generation Z has been given a title, a homeless generation. They will be homeless because they don't come to work and stuff. Yeah. But sir बोलते रहते, right, कि I love working with young designers, right? Why?
So, I agree with what he's saying, and I want to add to that. This question also came up today in the afternoon, where I think self-awareness थोड़ा बढ़ाना ज़रूरी है.
True.
Right? आप अगर कहीं पे बोर हो रहे हो, आपको अगर मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है, तो आप ये क्यों नहीं सोच रहे हो कि मैं क्यों बोर हो रहा हूँ, मुझे मज़ा क्यों नहीं आ रहा है.
Reverse.
एंड ये क्या होता है ना कि मैं बोर हो रहा हूँ, मुझे मज़ा नहीं आ रहा है, इज़ ऑलवेज एन एक्सटर्नल रीज़न. वंश ऐसा है, मेरा बॉस ऐसा है, मेरी कलीग ऐसी है, मेरा क्लाइंट ऐसा है, मेरी कंपनी ऐसी है. नो, तुम बोर हो रहे हो या हो रही हो, उसका रीजन इज इंटरनल, बिकॉज यू नॉट रिफ्लेक्टिंग, you're not looking at, is it the work, is the monotony, is it the people around me, is it the industry, is it the geography, what is it that is and अगर मैं बोर हो रहा हूँ, then my reverse question is कि अच्छा what excites you, right? And उसका आंसर ऐसा वनीला नहीं हो सकता कि मैं डिज़ाइन बना के बेचना चाहती हूँ या चाहता हूँ, and because boss, then start your own company, right? And you'll realize the truth and you'll come back, right? That running a business, building a product and all of that needs a lot of courage. It needs a lot of thought and strategy and things like that. So please reflect on yourself. अगर आपको 4-5 साल में बोरियत हो रही है, ये सब हो रहा है, तो and if you're stuck in a rut, maybe you're not adding any value to what you're bringing to the table. राइट अगर आपने यूएक्स करना शुरू किया, यूआई करना शुरू किया, प्रोडक्ट डिजाइन करना शुरू किया, तो अगर आप 2 साल 3 साल तक वही कर रहे हो तो भाई आप भी तो डिवैल्यू हो रहे हो.
मेक सेंस.
राइट. अगर बैंक अकाउंट में 1 लाख रुपया पड़ा हुआ है तो वो ओवर अ पीरियड टाइम डिवैल्यू होता है. मतलब अगर सेम चीज पड़ी हुई है, अगर आपके सेम स्किल्स हैं टेबल पे, तो वो एक्चुअली डिवैल्यू हो रहे हैं. आपने स्किल्स को अपस्किल किया है क्या? उस पर आपने कुछ और ऐड किया क्या? आपने यूएक्स यूआई के साथ थोड़ा फ्रंट एंड मैजिक, मोशन डिजाइन, ये वो कुछ ऐड किया क्या? If you're not adding to your own portfolio of skills that you're bringing to the table, then I think it's a little unfair to say that ki I'm getting bored.
Makes sense.
Right?
Basically becoming dynamic.
Yeah. वो I keep saying, मैं मस्ती करता रहता हूँ टीम के साथ कि change the people or change the people. We are talking about, right? Yeah. लोगों को बदल दो या लोग बदल दो.
Yeah.
Right, तो अपने आप को बदलो ना. Like if you're not able to change yourself, or then go and do the same thing somewhere else.
And also I think this generation, like one more reason I work with all Gen Zs. Like most of my team members are Gen Z.
You made a reel also.
Yeah. I mean, is also they're always looking for validation.
Yeah. Acknowledgements.
Yeah, always. Like see, it's not possible. It's not Instagram that you do something and I'll go and like it, right?
Yeah.
So somewhere you have to get over that. You'll get validation all the time. Companies have their own way of appreciating and all that, but it's not like every day I'll come and tell you great work. I can't do that, or anybody else, right? Or even your manager. अभी आपने बोला कि आपको एजेंसी फॉर्म करनी है, खुद बनना है. If you're an entrepreneur, you get no validation at all. You have to wake up every day, look in the mirror कि आज मुझे फिर कुछ फोड़ना है और कुछ नहीं होएगा. कहाँ से मिलेगी validation? तो how will you become an entrepreneur if you are looking for validation all the time? Trust me, in last 10 years, I would have been appreciated just twice from the same set of people in my work.
Yeah.
The only thing that drives me is कि I'm doing everything to get one thing's name stronger.
Makes sense.
That's all matters. And I also
like
you cooperate.
You side yourself and just kept going towards it.
You do something great. The team is not going to tell you thank you, great stuff, boss, because they expect it out of you.
Yeah.
आपका काम तो अच्छा करना है ही ना. आपको तो मतलब वो तो आप इसने तो आपने कंपनी बनाई है. तो
and the thing is कि why are you riding on such strong and such high emotions?
Yeah.
कि passion is great.
Yeah.
Okay, it's important. But along with passion, discipline. I've seen discipline eat talent for breakfast.
100%.
Right? So strategy. वो it's like one of those things मेरी दादी कहा करती थी कि when in a hurry, slow down.
Yeah.
Right. So you have to understand one thing. If you're going to go fast, you will not be able to see the details.
Yeah.
If you're going to go slow, then you will not be able to get as far.
Makes sense.
Right. So you have to understand when to go fast, when to go slow, when to stop and enjoy the scenery and things like that. So what is the rush about? If you do a little bit more reflection, inwards, I think you'll be able to understand how to evolve your skills, your career, and you don't always have to get your creative satisfaction by being a designer. Right?
Yeah.
You can get your creative satisfaction with so many different things, in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, and creativity is not, we were talking about this in the car, right, on the way here, that creativity is not something which is only on the shoulders of designers. भाई sit with a developer and challenge them कि यार ऐसा कर सकते हैं क्या, मजा आएगा. Right?
100%.
So if you be more inclusive, right, I think बोर धीरे होगे. जो तुम्हें 1 साल 2 साल में हो रहा है वो तुम्हें 3 4 5 साल होगा. Evolve जल्दी करोगे. Right? So you will be able to stick with what you're doing, and you'll be able to enjoy more.
Yeah.
So one of the things is do great work, but have fun doing it. If you're not doing one of the two, it's not sustainable.
Basically, falling in love with what you're doing won't feel like work anymore.
हाँ, मतलब
है ना?
थोड़ा सा different take है. It's again मेरे को ना romance से डर लगता है.
हाँ.
क्योंकि when you start saying things like this, like love and passion and all of these things, in my perspective, I think it blinds you to a certain extent. So I think for me, being pragmatic and being able to make hard decisions, difficult decisions, I think is very, very important.
Yeah.
I very recently asked one of my lead designers to have a very difficult conversation with a junior designer. And she's like, Nick, can you do it? I said, just for that reason, now you have to do it.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's a skill that you have to build. कल की तारीख में तुमको अगर 10 लोग की टीम रन करनी है, तुमको एजेंसी बनानी है, भाई तो हाँ एजेंसी बनाओगे, खूब पैसा कमाओगे, बड़ी गाड़ी आएगी, ऑल ऑफ दोस थिंग्स, बट तुम अगर एक डिफिकल्ट कॉन्वर्सेशन एक डिजाइनर के साथ और क्लाइंट के साथ नहीं कर सकते
तुम वहाँ तक पहुँचोगे कैसे
पहुँचोगे?
Exactly.
सो इवॉल्व योरसेल्फ, बिल्ड मोर स्किल्स, you'll become more valuable.
Yeah.
You won't get bored as quickly.
Very interesting. Now coming to a new segment, which is business, obviously. Business and design, obviously, you guys know it's very important. And you guys have said that one step after design, when you have master design, master तो कभी कर ही नहीं सकते obviously, but the next step after design is entrepreneurship, right? Coming to धंधा, right? If let's do a small activity that I was thinking right now, कि Divanshu sir will give me a roadmap. एंड आप बताओ कि वो सही है या नहीं, और फिर आप अपना रोड मैप दो कि इफ आई हैव टू मेक,
तो लड़ाई करवा के रहेगा?
नहीं, लड़ाई नहीं है, आप लोग बहुत अच्छे दोस्त हैं, भाईचारा हमारे में, वो बात अलग है, बट द फोकस इज व्हाई आई एम डूइंग दिस बिकॉज अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल विल गेट अ लॉट ऑफ इनसाइट्स फ्रॉम टू different areas where you guys are coming from, right? One is Mumbai, one is Delhi. I don't know if you are looking at the geographical level. So give me a roadmap on if I had to start from zero. Take my example, I have a personal brand of 3000 followers. I have my design community and stuff, वो सब अलग से रख दो, साइड में सब रख दो, सिर्फ मेरा पर्सनल ब्रांड पे फोकस कर दो. I have 3000 members, 3000 people who are following me, and I start my agency called say for example Bazinga, right, which I'm planning actually, man. And it's called it's on social media marketing, where we focus on people, brands creating buzz for them without spending much on ads and reducing their ad spend.
Content basically.
Yeah. And content को चला देंगे basically. So if I had to make my 10 lakh rupees in this coming 6 months, how will I do it?
Yeah. So pick up your strengths. Let's look at your strengths first, right? पहले तो 3-6-9 months का थोड़ा सा प्लान बनाएंगे.
Okay.
First set of customers लाने हैं. Say अगर your domain, I think you need 3-4 customers with at least 2-3 people to
Correct.
get things going, right? पहले तो वो 3000 लोग, that is one strength that you have.
Yeah.
Then the other is, I think you're already good in building content, etc. Right?
Yeah.
So you're already posting it. Designer community is also there, considering it's attached to it.
Yeah.
In that 3000 people community, you need to see who you can tap, who could be a potential client, or it could lead you to the clients, right?
Okay.
That is one funnel. I'm talking about funnels,
Sure.
right? Second is your strength is building content. And you're trying to target brands, etc., right? And I'm assuming younger brands will work easier to crack also and all that. Start building those concepts for them and start posting them.
Okay.
Get their attention online. You don't need to even reach out to on LinkedIn and all that, because your medium is actually Instagram, right? You don't have to reach out to say Divanshu in X company and hey, why don't you work with us and all. It doesn't work also. Start posting around their content. Use LinkedIn, use Instagram and all that. Get their attention. And if you can create a viral campaign around that also, it really works. I mean, if you don't follow this guy, Kshitij on LinkedIn, he does great work. He works with Indigo, I guess, but he does great work. He just like randomly pick up in a company, create a very creative content around it.
Got it.
And people start posting their own version of that content. It gets that company's attention. That's what you need, right? Third is, I think your strength lies in bringing people together. Right? All you have to do is build similar kind of folks together to a room, to a conversation, and that'll open the next set of doors for you. So that I think is a good way to build that funnel for next, say, 6 months. And honestly, I don't think so cold calling works. I don't know, he can tell you the other side of the story, because I don't cold call anyone. I don't like it also. If you have to find me, you will find me because of some XYZ reasons. Unless and until I'm doing product sales, or SaaS and all that, that's where it is direct value.
Obviously.
An agency will give value over time. It's not direct value.
Correct.
Right? So, yeah, I mean, so these are what I think would work out for you.
Basically identifying strengths and working towards it.
Yes.
To get that.
Yeah, there are people, they create, these are my weaknesses, I should work on them. I said, why?
Yeah.
Like at my age, I don't want to work on my weaknesses. You know, nobody wants to work with their weaknesses. You know, आप conquer कर भी नहीं सकते after a point of time. Just work on your strengths.
Identifying unfair advantages.
So
But do
I'm
answer
just,
that. Do answer like if cold calling works or not.
I will. So first to the question that you asked, and I'll use our relationship as context in terms of what I've seen you do over the last say a year. और तुमने 10 लाख का टारगेट रखा है, 6 महीने का तुमने टारगेट रखा है, right? तो what I would recommend is, and one of the things that Divanshu said is your skill, your love, quote unquote, is about bringing people together, networking. If you start applying this to bringing people to a physical outlet as your strength, because you've done a couple of things at coffee shops, and you were also giving out, some vouchers of a coffee shop in one of your events and all that. If you bring traffic, one of the biggest problems that physical stores today have is traffic to their place.
Correct. Pop-ups.
If you start bringing traffic to physical stores, I think there's a great opportunity there.
Makes sense.
Right? And if you ace that skill, and if you can walk into a store and guarantee that, okay, I can get you 200 people in a particular hour that of your choosing, right? And that's your opportunity to capture that audience with your product or service, right? Then I think 10 lakhs is going to be a very easy target.
100%.
Right? And if you go to a chain of stores, for example, you work with a coffee chain or you work with a jewelry chain, and you say that I'll do a program online which will drive traffic to your stores offline, right? That you can leverage for sales.
Got it.
Then you can even build a commission model and say that the sales that you do on that day, I want a commission out of it. I don't want a fee out of this, right? I'll drive traffic to your chain, citywide, statewide, countrywide, depending on how big the program is. And if you can prove that model works, whatever, because I think if you've been able to garner a community online, driving them offline is just a question of some real world value. Right? And in partnerships, you can do that. So I would say think on that. Right? So build your, scale your community online and see how do I, I think एक कॉफी शॉप के साथ किया भी था ना, तूने कूपन दिए थे उनके, हाँ ड्रिंक के साथ, तो scale that, right? Hey, I did this for your one store in one city. If they're in like multiple cities, can we do a national level program where everybody can gather online, do a competition? You've done Fontober and all of those things. ऐसा क्या मैं कुछ कर सकता हूँ जहाँ पे मैं sales offline drive करूँगा? उन्होंने जाके अगर तुम्हारा कूपन use कर लिया तो, I want a commission of that, whatever, right? From 3,000 people, you can do this with 5,000 or 10,000 over a period of 6-7 months.
Scaling it now.
And aggressively create events for that audience and that chain. I think that would have been my recommendation, my
Very
roadmap.
interesting.
Yeah.
I asked you this question in the roundtable also. Now I to know my things, but a lot of people, say for example, if they are into freelancing, they get difficulties in pricing their specific service, right? So can you explain that breakdown or anything that you mentioned before?
Yeah, I'll just answer Divanshu's question on cold calling.
Yeah.
So for me, the thing is, मेरे लिए ना cold calling काम नहीं किया, right? Even I mean, if you're whether it's like when after like getting beaten up at my entrepreneurial stage, I was looking for a job, or as a studio and an independent consultant, I was trying to make. I think for me, two things have always worked. One is my network and recommendations.
Makes sense.
Right? That has always, and it's not just in business development, but also in recruitment, for example. Right? Some of the best people that I work with are basically people that we've been able to find through a network. And the most fun kind that I've had basically is again, through people who we've been able to get through networks and all that. So again, but I know somebody in real estate for whom cold calling has worked like crazy.
Exactly, direct value up.
So हाँ, तो वहाँ पे बहुत value है, right? And door knocking and everything and all that. So
correct.
I'm sure it's a very powerful tool, but it's just a question of context.
Creative services ना, like what we have seen, because अभी मैं आपको phone करूँगा, hey, we do this, we do that. You might not have an immediate And
Yeah.
you can't even try me immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
not, the replacement cost is so high.
Yeah.
You can't
Yeah.
say me, okay, ठीक है, I'll replace my X agency and plug in Y
Yeah.
and see how it turns out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
bring back X if it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
It's very high. So it doesn't work out.
Yeah.
So what we've seen is like rather create build intent, capture intent, then go and outbound, okay, work with us and all that. It might work with early stage startup, or smaller firms who've just raised funds and all that, but I haven't seen it work with enterprise
Got
clients,
it.
etc.
You can come to the freelancing question abhi ek second baad. What I do in my model, which is community model, is I do follow-up cold calling. Basically, particular cold callings to people to make sure that they reappear in my events. In this sense, that I first make them sign up, right? They have joined the event. Now that I have their phone number and email, if they are in that area, I'll call them again. And I personally will invite them. And that's what I did with Roundtable, right? I made a big event and उसमें से कुछ chunk को थोड़ा सा price high करके उनको बुलाया वापस से. So that helped me in my specific model.
Yeah.
So I think cold callings work differently according to other
Business,
different
according to
situations.
what you are.
Models and
Context is, I think, very high.
Yeah.
So it works in certain ways and certain doesn't. Coming to your
Freelance.
freelance
Pricing.
wala, pricing wala.
Yeah.
So like we spoke about in the afternoon
Yeah.
today, I think it's very, very important to first understand what your service is worth. I think it's very important to do that math. Ki, how do you figure out your rate, that can comfortably let you do what you want to do with focus.
थोड़ा सा चेंज करता हूँ. एवरीवन इज़ वेल अवेयर जो यहाँ तक आ रहे होंगे ना, एवरीवन इज़ वेल अवेयर कि प्राइसिंग क्या चल रही है मार्केट की. बट इफ़ दे आर 2x मोर चार्जिंग 2x मोर या फिर 2x लेस, तो वो ऐसे कैसे कर सकते हैं कि लाइक हाउ डू दे बीट इंडस्ट्री स्टैंडर्ड्स एंड प्रूव द क्लाइंट दैट वाई दे आर चार्जिंग एंड वाई इट्स जस्टिफाइड.
थोड़ा सा ओपन क्वेश्चन अगेन ये, बट द थिंग इज I'll tell you what, if you're just going to go with industry standards, then your pitch is going to be generic.
True.
Right? I think I would still say that find your value so that being able to communicate that value, that for example, if the industry standard is say $1,000 an hour, and you want to say that you're worth $2,000 an hour, then do you have in your portfolio or in your case studies proof that you can do $1,000 an hour ka kaam in like say 40% of the time or 60% of the time? So you're bringing time value to the table, right? So that's why your higher rates are justified. Okay, is there any local service that you're providing which somebody remotely cannot, like a fiverr.com platform पे तुम जाके $100 में $200 में जो करवा सकते हो, मैं आपसे 400 लूँगा लेकिन मैं आपके शहर में हूँ.
Makes sense. I can meet you anytime.
So I can meet you anytime. Collaborating with me is going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot more open, convenient, and things like that. So you have to find what value you're going to give to be able to, just saying कि I'm a better designer, my design is better or my work is better. यार वो तो हर डिजाइनर के दिमाग में उनका काम सबसे
correct
उंधा है, right? And otherwise they have reasons for why they've not been able to do what somebody else has been able to do. But ultimately you have to understand you're providing a service to somebody that you want to, and I think one more thing is very important, that you have to understand the audience that you're talking to. Right? Does that audience have that budget? You may want something from, you may want 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 rupees an hour, but is that business, is that entrepreneur, is that situation, is that project budgeted like that? Right? And if it's not budgeted like that, then it doesn't matter how good a designer you are. वो नहीं होगा.
Makes sense.
So I think that is extremely, extremely important. Have you done that homework? Then you can do the sale.
Makes sense.
And India is a competitive market, yaar.
Very heavily crowded also.
Very crowded also, and like,
Sorry.
I think that, as what Nick was saying, it's very difficult for to only kind of qualify a sale on, probably on your work, etc. There's so many other factors that come into play to get a deal through. Location and price and portfolio and skill set and your, how curated your approach is towards that client and all. So I think it's not only a design game. Okay, I'm a good designer, so I'll crack it.
Makes sense.
Because it's a lot to do with servicing, a lot to do with you creating an equation with that customer, etc. That person feels that comfort with you or not. It's a lot of other things that maybe a good designer can never be a good entrepreneur. Maybe an average designer can become a great entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So
अब जैसे एक बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग एग्जांपल लेता हूँ मैं. हैव यू सीन अनार्क वॉच बाय टेक बर्नर? सर जानते हो आप टेक बर्नर को? सो टेक बर्नर एक यूट्यूबर है who has tens of 15s of millions of followers who reviews tech products, right?
Neil Gauguin and he started this.
Neil Gauguin and Tech Burner both started this together, and they launched a watch which is very closely related to 6,000 rupees wala watch, and a new design which is like squarish but the edges are like cut off basically.
Okay.
A hexagon sort of shape,
Okay.
right? They claimed that they are priced at 7,000-8,000 rupees, right? And they competed and compared their product with Apple's Ultra watch, right? And they got a huge backlash कि यार तुमने 8,000 की वॉच को इतना लंबा बड़ी उससे कंपेयर कर दिया है, एंड तुमने बेसिकली वो एक कंट्रोवर्सी हो गई कि यू हैव कॉपीड द ऐप of the and the UI and stuff, and that you're claiming कि तुमने बनाया, because few leaks and stuff हो गए थे, but टेक बर्नर टोल्ड कि ऐसा नहीं हुआ है, हमने रेंट किया, बोला ये वो एंड स्टफ, राइट? दैट कॉज द कंट्रोवर्सी. द ब्रिलियंट पार्ट इज दैट ही फोकस्ड टू मच ऑन डिज़ाइन व्हेन ही वाज सेइंग ऑल ऑफ दिस, राइट? वो डिज़ाइन बहुत बोल रहा था कि हमने UI खुद से बनाया है, हमने वॉच फेसेस बहुत अच्छे से बनाए एंड स्टफ. दैट फैसिनेटेड अ लॉट ऑफ फोक्स, बट व्हेन इट डिडंट वर्क आउट, है ना, तो वो गया पूरा गॉन. एंड देन नाउ वो पूरी कंट्रोवर्सी एयर हो चुकी है. नाउ पीपल डोंट केयर. वेयर आई एम एक्चुअली कमिंग फ्रॉम इज when you are building a product like this, right, or you're working for a product like this as a designer or even an entrepreneur, because it's almost a mix of both people who are watching this, how to make this legible. And अगर आप एक ऐसे सिचुएशन में आ जाते हो जहाँ पे आपको बहुत बैकलैश मिल रहा है, बिकॉज मेरे साथ भी हो चुका है, राइट? इन डिज़ाइन डायलॉग दिल्ली माई लोकेशन गॉट चेंज अ लॉट, 2 बार चेंज हो गया, एंड उससे बहुत बैकलैश आया मेरे को एकदम से. एंड आई स्टार्टेड डाउटिंग माई थिंग्स दैट इफ़ आई एम डूइंग दिस राइट, यहाँ पे डिज़ाइन में अच्छी चीज़ और कर सकता था, मैं कम्युनिकेशन और इम्प्रूव कर सकता था विद माई डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग एंड स्टफ. सो हाउ टू टेक दिस सिचुएशन, ये जो बैकलैश आया एकदम से फेस कैसे करें और उसके साथ डील कैसे करें एज अ डिज़ाइनर?
I'm not very sure about the case that you spoke about, because I've not seen the watch and things like that. But if I just try and understand the situation, that if you've done a project, it's not worked, it's failed, and you're getting a lot of heat on that, I think the first thing to do is manage expectations.
Okay.
Right? And you need to understand how, when, where, what feedback to take.
Okay.
ठीक है? You cannot possibly work on every bit of feedback that you get. Right? For any brand, for any product, for any service, and I'm working with the fact that the intentions are all great to make sure that we are building a great product and service and value and all that. You are going to have customers who will, not be happy for n number of reasons.
Correct.
Right? And you will have customers who will give you feedback in various different tonalities. Right? And nobody can possibly take care of all the feedback that they get.
Got it.
So you have to categorize the feedback, and kind of color triage the feedback and color code it and say that, okay, fine, this is really, really important. This is critical feedback. This I can live with. This is my cost of, building the brand and product that I am, and so on and so forth.
Sorting the feedback in a way and executing accordingly.
That is constructive, right?
Feedback.
So I think that, and that comes from a place of honesty, and it comes from a place of transparency, right? And it comes from a place of being a little dispassionate towards your own product, service, company or whatever, so that you can be pragmatic about what you're hearing. If you try to give feedback to or if you try to respond to every feedback and with the same focus and all that, pagal ho jaoge.
Correct.
Right? I mean, you look at the Jaguar example. They're getting so much,
but Jaguar is still silent.
But I don't know if they're silent or not. I don't know what they're doing and how they're handling it. But what I'm saying is, if they try to take the global feedback in and try to work on it, I think it's going to be crazy.
People
And
move
it's
on
not
to
even
something else.
possible.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
People move on, man.
Yeah.
This is that cancelling culture.
Exactly.
Because of it's so accessible. It's so easy to tell a brand you're not good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
पहले नहीं था, अब हो गया है. I think what Anarc also did, so I've worked in the OEM space.
Yeah.
It's not easy to build firmware
Obviously.
and create software on top of it in
Exactly.
India without the chipset being
A new design that is patented.
Yeah. So if you see, so the hardware,
Yeah.
only the form factor, they got an agency to design
Correct.
it, etc. But the chipset, etc., is
Still.
has been assembled in China.
Yeah, obviously.
Right? And India does not have that capability
Correct.
so far. Some companies are doing it, but they're assembling.
Yeah.
Right? So some level of Chinese hardware will be there. Some level ka kafi hoga, except the form factor maybe, right? I think had they done it in a way that, okay, this part does come from China and this is what we've worked on, we want to make sure that more of it happens in India, would have been more honest way to put this forward. And customer now is very brutal and they're aware. They know shit. मतलब वो वाला customer को आप बना नहीं सकते अब.
Makes sense, obviously.
They kind of go back to where
You have to
they were.
learn to respond,
Yeah.
not react.
Yeah.
Right? I think for businesses, I think it's very, very important to be able to understand what is my priority right now.
Yeah.
ठीक है, आपने एक business, एक product, एक जो भी है आपने बनाया है, and you've got to be real कि चलो ठीक है, this is working, this is not working, this is the customer sentiment.
Correct.
How do I deal with the sentiment? How do I work with what I'm hearing, and then bake that into my maybe next offering, or create a
Makes
pool
sense.
of customers who I work with. This generally happens if you don't work with your customer at the table.
Makes
If you're going
sense.
into a silo and building a product or service or business or brand or whatever, and then expecting people to just
Makes sense.
lap it up,
Yeah.
you're playing
Yeah,
a very, very difficult game.
Say for example of Marvel, who just launched वो Captain America वाली नई movie, right? It is like 4th lowest ever turn up.
I don't know.
अभी एक basically एक Red Hulk बना दिया उन्होंने, right? And वो Captain America नए Falcon Captain America के साथ लड़ रहा है, right? It's a part of a comic,
Okay.
but it didn't work out. So even following up on your example that you were saying that Apple भी नहीं काम किया and stuff. Now connecting dots for everyone. You said that feedback पे react नहीं करना है, right? What basically happened was, in coming to Anarc again, उन्होंने react किया, एक बंदे ने call out कर दिया scam करके कि tech burner is doing scam, right? वो ये बहती गंगा में हाथ धोने की कोशिश कर रहा था वो बंदा, उसने scam बोल दिया ताकि उसकी वीडियो फट जाए, और वीडियो फट गई और टेक बर्नर ने नीचे करवा दी कि scam क्यों बोल रहा है यार, scam is a very hard word, which he was right, but उसने नीचे क्यों करवाई वीडियो? He could have just said कि re-upload it in a different way and stuff and take it in a proper case instead of pressurizing कि तेरा channel ही उड़वा देंगे, right? Now what I'm coming from is basically as you said कि feedback लो and आगे चलो, and what he did was right, and उन्होंने feedback लिया, मुँह पे लिया, and now world has moved on, right? He cracked distribution, right? And he was able to do that through a personal brand that वो rigorously डालते गए. He's also training designers, sir, and video editors. He has his own community where he teaches people design and stuff, and I have huge respect for him. But coming to distribution wala part, and I think because he had a personal brand, he was able to crack that distribution and stuff. So do you think, obviously sir भी अभी वही try कर रहे हैं, पहले before I move to distribution and stuff, आप personal brand पे reels डालते हो, you are making the reels and you are covering, you are posting on LinkedIn and one thing पे भी डाल रहे हो, आप अपने personal पे भी डाल रहे हो. Why are you doing that?
Yeah, I think there's a large community. So I use most of my content. What I'm trying to do is for the kind of people we met today.
Yeah.
Young designers.
Correct.
Or people who are trying to become design entrepreneurs.
Okay.
And general
Yeah.
entrepreneurs, etc. Right. So by smallish, very specific cohort of folks, right? So to build that awareness, where what Nick just said, design is only half the thing. There's so many other things that you need to follow through to become a great designer.
Obviously.
So just make people aware around that. Second, is to create that funnel back into one thing. As I said, it's all about intent, right?
Correct.
To put your voice out there,
Yeah.
to kind of work we do, etc. I don't think so there is any medium better than just showcasing your own it on your own channels, right?
True.
And it does help.
Yeah.
And I never look at it that okay, I put a video today and tomorrow or this week I'll receive a query or a new client, etc. No, I never look at it like that. It's only that I think I'm putting something good out there which is benefiting somebody will bring me back whatever it has to on its own, right? So it's very no agenda. No, I don't even have a calendar, right? I'm not that serious yet, though my team keeps pushing me. Please maintain discipline around it.
I also keep pushing both of you.
Yeah. So I think that's because that's a millennial problem.
Yeah.
Content doesn't happen to us naturally.
Obviously.
Just so you guys just keep your phones on and keep like naturally.
True.
It's not very natural to me at least.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah, but once it's there, I can do it. But I think it does bring back great connections.
True. Helps in distribution also.
Yes, and it does help in taking the word out about. I mean, everything that I do is connected to one thing.
Makes sense, obviously.
Right?
Funneling more, adding a layer on top.
Yeah, exactly. So it's funneling great designers.
Correct.
Community.
Correct.
Like-minded people. And maybe, someday somebody would see, okay, we work with this client. Why don't we talk to these people, right? So, yeah.
Makes sense. Adding another layer. So, this distribution wala factor. Let's take Ansh Mehra for example. He knows Ansh Mehra. Sir, आप जानते हो Ansh Mehra को?
Yeah, seen him at one of the events.
Yeah. So, what he's doing is, he's about to launch a proper design school, right? And he has huge distribution at his level because he's a respected mentor, right? And इतना ज़्यादा वो लोग अब वही है कि एक designer ही थे, right? He was working in Swiggy as a UI UX designer, and then he switched his career because he just had a love to create content, right? And now he has like over 6-7 lakh followers combined तो और भी ज़्यादा, I think 8-9 पहुँच गया, almost 1 million Insta and YouTube combined. वो 1 million में भी सर वो जो जितने लोग हैं ना, जितने ज़्यादा रिस्पेक्ट देते हैं अंश को, it's commendable to see. And I have worked with him and he's really good and what he's planning is amazing. And where I'm coming towards is basically ये जो जितने भी designers हैं ना, I want कि अभी जैसे we met a person who is trying to open a school, right? He was talking to you also. I want every designer to do that. कि वो करे, at least अपना कुछ तो करे, at least get into entrepreneurship once and try करके देखे. Sir, आपने भी तो बहुत सीखा था entrepreneurship से, right?
Yeah.
I think you were in the example, moving back to that question that I asked you, the most difficult thing that you did was entrepreneurship at the first place.
Yeah.
And same goes for you, same goes for me, right? As a designer, as I started, I'm not a designer. Everyone knows I'm doing engineering right now still. And randomly जब मैं लोगों को बोलता हूँ भाई मैं engineering से design में आ गया, they get surprised कि भाई क्या कर रहा है भाई तू life में. But I still say कि at the end of the day, I'm an engineer because that engineer वाली side ने ही मेरे को entrepreneurial mode on किया मेरा, right? So, what do you guys think? Because at the end of the day, these examples that I took, Tech Burner, Ansh Mehra, Anik Jain, everyone, are personal brands, right? And coming generations, as you are saying, कि सब लोग content हाथ में रहेंगे. And आपने अगर scroll करा होगा, so do you guys remember? You are also on Insta again, and you can see आप जब do you guys remember last 5 people के reels that you see? याद है आपको, नाम याद है उनके, faces भी याद है, बहुत difficult होगा.
तो मेरा slightly थोड़ा सा अलग take on this is, मुझे याद है, ठीक है?
आपको याद है?
I'll tell you why.
Yeah.
My reason, for all of this is थोड़ा inwards, is थोड़ा selfish.
Okay.
For example, I'm trying to make Instagram my personal photo album.
Okay.
Right? जब भी रिटायर करेंगे, जब भी वो बीच वाला सपना पूरा होगा कि बैठ के अब आगे से काम नहीं करनी है, तो Instagram is going to be my album of all my best memories of life.
Okay.
Right? So very few people on Instagram that I interact with. तो वो जो 5 लोग के नाम हैं वो वही 5 होंगे जिनको मैंने या तो रील भेजी होगी या उन्होंने मेरे को भेजी होगी.
Got it.
Right? So मेरा ये I don't have hundreds and thousands of people,
No, not that. Basically, you scrolling Insta.
हाँ, नहीं तो scrolling मेरा तो इतना वैसे होता
ही नहीं.
Doom scrolling है ही नहीं.
हाँ, मेरा वो वाला सीन है ही नहीं. Because जैसे शाम को 6-7 बजे के बाद मेरा फोन कहाँ होता है, very rarely do I know about it and all that. And my reason to also get into communities like, Designare or
Yeah.
any of the other communities that I'm now consciously trying to be a part of, and meeting people, like One Thing or any of the other studios that I'm working with or meeting and networking, is I love seeing what people are doing.
Makes sense.
I love hearing about how, because I'm coming from a time when this is not a skill, not a career, not an industry, not a whatever. So when I see these kind of stories, when Divanshu tells me about the projects that he's working on, it's very exciting.
Makes sense.
Right?
Obviously.
When I meet the young kids and I see some crazy ideas on the table.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of the kind of places that they want to get to and stuff like that. तो उनके साथ एक 5 मिनट की कॉन्वर्सेशन कर लो और वो उनको थोड़ा सा एनकरेजमेंट मिल जाता है जब वो उसको कहीं और ले जा सकते हैं या उनसे कुछ सीखने मिल जाता है कि अच्छा ऐसा भी लोग सोच रहे हैं. दिस इज very interesting kid today wants to solve the problem of addiction.
Yeah.
Right, he wants to use AI, ML, screen monitoring, whatever, to try and help people reduce addiction. That's insane.
Yeah.
That's
It's
really
good to see,
insane.
but it won't be possible, na, sir, because
that's a different thing, though. That's another podcast.
Yeah.
Right, whether you can do it or not.
Yeah.
But the fact that he's taken on that as a
problem
and solving exactly. Right, and that will not happen if I'm sitting in my office and doing what I'm doing, or only doing that. Right, so my purpose of whatever is थोड़ा सा selfish, थोड़ा सा inward. मुझे ज़्यादा मजा आता है लोगों के साथ मिलके जाके पूछने में, सुनने भाई क्या कर रहे हो, क्या प्रॉब्लम आ रही है, let's talk about it, कॉफी पी ली, थोड़ा बात कर लिया and all that. And surprisingly, it gives me great feedback for when I'm working with my teams or working on whatever, I'm like tinkering with. अरे हाँ यार उसने ऐसा बोला था ये भी तो कर सकते हैं, why can't we do it like that? तो वो that is my thing. It's and इसमें अगर किसी को सीखने मिल जाए, किसी को मेरे से मिल जाए, why not?
I'm enjoying this because getting a millennials perspective is really interesting because ये सोचता ही नहीं ना मैं, because हम लोग तो लगे हुए हैं कि मैं जो क्वेश्चन पूछने आया था, now the whole question is gone in my mind कि अरे ये तो कुछ और ही crazy जा रहा है, right? Very interesting. So my question was basically कि do you guys
1 minute भाई.
Yeah, almost done. We are almost
5
done.
minutes.
Yeah. So last question कि personal branding जो जैसे सर कर रहे हैं, right? And आपको मैं इतना motivate करता हूँ and stuff is because it's the future, right? Do you think it can really be beneficial in terms of boosting धंधा वाली चीज़, like पैसा बहुत ज़्यादा बना सकते हैं and stuff?
मेरे को आज ना किसी ने सवाल किया था ये पर्सनल ब्रांडिंग पे, तो दिस इज माय टेक एंड
बिकॉज यू आर नॉट ऑन इंस्टा.
तो मेरा ये टेक है कि इफ यू आर एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड एंड बिल्ड अ वैल्यू फॉर योरसेल्फ, आई थिंक दैट विल ऑटोमेटिकली ट्रांसलेट इनटू अ ब्रांड एंड विल कैरी फॉरवर्ड. राइट, मतलब अगर आप मेरे को पूछो कि भाई व्हाट डू यू ब्रिंग टू द टेबल एज एन इंडिविजुअल, आई थिंक what I can confidently talk about is honesty in terms of understanding the problem statement and the situation and things like that, and the ability to bring the right set of people to work towards a solutioning. Right, I think that is something that I can do faster and better and whatever in comparison to the other folks who are doing what I'm doing, and that is what I'm getting to be known for. Right, so it's great validation when people at my level, my seniors, say that Nick को बुला लो, ठीक है, उसका perspective will help. So that's a validation for me that now that is my brand. But have I consciously built it? No, it's kind of coming out of the value that I'm bringing to the table. So what I would recommend is, when you're trying to think of your personal brand, when you're trying to think of building your personal brand, find that value.
True.
That your brand would stand for.
True.
Whether it's Nike or Apple or any other brand, there was a very, I can't remember who said this, but one of the most beautiful lines on branding that I've ever heard, and I say this in every opportunity I get, is, you remember good brands, okay? You remember what good brands do, what good brands offer. But great brands, you remember how they make you feel.
Yeah, the experience.
Right? So, because at the end of the day, people don't remember what you did, what you said, who you are, but they'll always remember how you made them feel.
Yeah, makes sense.
Right? And that feeling will come out of the value that you delivered for them in that situation, in that project, in that business. So if you're able to, bring speed to a particular project consistently, then get Vansh. He will cut through the clutter and he'll be able to get us to what we want. Let's get Divanshu, because one thing is so sharp focused that they don't get distracted. They don't talk nonsense. They are very clear and sharp and things like that. So I think if you work more on your value, your brand automatically starts building and
very interesting.
Getting a but if you focus more on the storytelling, and if you don't have that value inside, वो बहुत जल्दी पकड़े जाओगे.
True.
Yep.
Right. So वो surface बहुत जल्दी scratch हो जाएगा.
Very interesting. Do you have a take on this?
Repeat that question.
Do you think personal branding can really help people boost through everything? Because now you are a millennial. He's a millennial, but अरे तो सर experience है ना थोड़ा. So he's not doing Instagram, but you are doing. So अब आपका थोड़ा perspective.
As I said earlier also, I think it helps me in different ways.
True.
Being an entrepreneur, running your own thing, you have to be almost everywhere. What I've seen is, people that you mentioned earlier, the creators who are now building businesses, probably or trying to.
Yeah.
We've had a running business. We have to turn the table so that business can get more eyeballs, or people become aware of it. So, and content has become a great way or a great medium to talk about your story or what industry you belong to. The focus has to be, as Nick also said, the focus is not to get यार मेरे इतने likes हो गए, मेरे इतने followers हो गए, but how concentrated those followers are for that cohort is what is important to me. Right? So are they the people who are actually benefiting from me rather than just random people following me?
Very interesting.
So that's what my goal of, let's call it personal branding for lack of a better word, is. But my focus is just to put stuff out there.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, I'm done with all the questions, and obviously time constraint, right? Thank you so much, guys, in the first place for doing this together, right? And the event that we did, अभी reflect back करने पे आते तो आप लोगों की वजह से इतना crazy हुआ है, right? And huge respect for both of you, and I think a lot of people who have watched till here, respect for you guys also, because it's a 1.5 hour long podcast. I think 100 लोग भी नहीं पहुंचेंगे इधर तक. But if you are there, do share the notes that you have made and tag us all in LinkedIn of your profiles if you really love to post. Start using this podcast itself and conquer basically, and obviously we'll share our love and we'll repost whatever you're doing. So thank you guys, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you so much, man. All the best to everybody who's trying to do what you're trying to do, because I think every intent should be rewarded. And but a few things, be patient. Don't be in a hurry. It's okay to say no. And some of those things that your parents are probably telling you, this is, it might sound like dad advice, but I think it's all very important to
True.
slow down. So all the best.
Yeah. Any last words for you?
I mean, I think I've met so many of these folks. I mean, don't overthink, just do it. I think doing solves a lot of problems and clears a lot of thoughts. So, all the best.
Yeah, thank you. Done.